Hey, welcome back to Tactics Talk with Guido. I have a replay analysis here. Got a player, Banziduck from the 332nd clan. He's in his P Victoria in a 357, so he's bottom tier in a medium tank and loaded into live oaks. And he sent me this for me to take a look at it and get a little advice. So off we go. We'll see what happens. He's headed over towards the tracks with the T-34-3, which is kind of the meta position for mediums, and as a matter of fact, it's probably the most important position on this map. The map used to be revolving around the town up in the northwest, but recently, and I mean within the last year or so, maybe a little bit more, it has developed into the most important fight being down here on the tracks. So Bonzi right off the bat, I'll spit it out here in a minute. One thing you've got to start paying attention to is, even though you're going to the quote-unquote meta position, which I just spent quite a bit of time talking about right there, you've got to pay attention to what's coming with you. So number one, you don't have any artillery to back you up. Thank God there's no artillery in the game, but in this case, it's actually a help if you can stuff them on the other side of this ridge. Number two, there's only two of you. Get that? Number two is only two. There's only two of you down here, and there is one TD, the AT-15, which is a decent TD, but only one, and he is way back there. So position-wise, once I got about halfway there and I realized this is what was going down, I think you probably should have just turned around, gone to the town, or potentially fall back into these buildings and fight a holding battle, or come in here and try to help out in the city. It's just simply a case of your team has deployed horrendously, terribly, and there's just nothing you can do about it right now. The problem with going down here, I'll just get going, with going down here and thinking, well, I'll just take a look and then I'll run away, is there's no way to run away from this spot, especially if they aggressively push in. A little pause here right there. You're already down 2 tanks. Looks like you're AFK or something's going on here, not really sure. Now you're back. Now this tank has a decent turret, so you could have popped up right there and taken a look. I don't mean all the way up and over, but just enough so you could see what's going on. You got a 30B coming in. Now this 30B has probably counted noses and has a pretty good idea that there's not much here, but he definitely just YOLOs in here, so you get a shot on him. And let's talk about this real quick. Aside from the positioning issue, which I would have already fallen back, let me touch that real quick again. I was talking about how you can't get away. Once you get locked down here and you're engaged, and there's more than likely quite a few more coming up behind him, that very long retreat path, there's zero cover, there's just no way to get away from here. So you should have turned around long ago. Let's talk about how you handle this circling 30B. Watch what you're doing right here. You're actually driving and turning and trying to keep your turret on him. The fastest way to turn your turret is to turn the turret and the hull at the same time, basically spinning in place, and that would have given you a much easier time keeping on this guy, and you're going to end up missing. So the other thing about that is you're going to need to get your gun out in front of him a little bit if you're going to do it manually, but this is probably a great time for auto aim because it's so close and your velocity, shell velocity, is good enough. You probably would have been able to hit him anyway. So you get a miss right there. That's unfortunate because that kind of hurts you. And then he gets down and runs into the red line. Interesting, you can't quite ram him. So I'd say you took one extra hit that you didn't need to take right there. There are times when you want to turn the hull and the turret at the same time. You may be trying to get back up against some terrain behind you. You may be actually trying to hold just a little bit more distance between you and the enemy, but if you purely want the highest rate of turn on the turret, turn the hull and the turret at the same time without moving forward or backwards. Like I said, spinning in place. Now this is an opportunity right here. These guys have kind of sat back there. You might have been able to try to run away right here. More than likely they'd have still seen you, but if you stayed low and started moving out, you might have been able to get away. Another option is to pop up and over this ridge and get down to the low area, but of course that's swept by everything that's hanging out right here, and more than likely they've pushed up into this area by now, and that would also end your day pretty quickly. So those are some low percentage chances to get away. but you're going to choose to stay right here, and it just kind of goes badly from here. You just don't have enough tanks. Yeah. So you've got a 13105, a Centurion, a Batchat 12T, and then the T30. T30 is a great hold-down fighter. The Centurion's a pretty good hold-down fighter. You're going to take some shots in here and get unlucky. If you're going to fight a tank with whole armor like the Centurion has, while it's not amazing, it's pretty good, as is yours. Just go ahead and press that 2 button, dab that 2 button, and start firing a little higher pen round at them. That's your only chance really of going through there without getting really a lucky shot. And unfortunately, you poke right into the ground twice, which I feel for you there. I do that all the time. All right, so this is an interesting one right here, because one thing you're doing is you're getting very focused on the one guy you're shooting at. So what you need, I call this camera work, what you need to be doing in between shots and reloads is zoom out and kind of look around you a little bit. You may have noticed that 105 was trying to come up and get a shot on you, 13105. So you may not have poked up, taken a shot at the Centurion, and get hammered by the 13105 right there. So just watch out for that kind of thing, especially when you're trying to fight multi-axis. You got a guy here, you got a guy here, and holy cow, where's that bloody T30? You don't even know where he is right now. We'll find out pretty soon. You can see, so you're just kind of, there you go. Nice job noticing the T30 coming. This is the sense of doom right here. And actually you get a shot at him. I'm not really certain why he didn't shoot you. He must have been shooting someone behind you. But unfortunately, you're going to get the 1390. And this kind of the same thing happened right there as happened with the, I'll let this explosion go away, as happened with the heck was it, AMX 30B right there. You're kind of going backwards and turning and trying to keep your turret on him, and you can see that your turret was lagging the fight. It was actually behind him. You didn't have enough turret traverse. I don't know if you would have reloaded in time to get that one last shot on that guy, but potentially you could have had you spun the hole and moved your turret. He'd have still shot you in the side and you died, but just watch out for that as far as the 1v1 kind of maneuvering in there. Yeah, I guess that T30 was trying to hit the WZ right there. All right, we got one more. We'll take a look at that. For the second one, for Banziduck, we've got the low. He's driving Tier 8 German Premium Heavy Tank, and he is in an all Tier 8 battle on Tundra. And he is headed over to the west side, which I'm okay with. He's got the slow heavy, so he's going to go over to the kind of heavy brawling area, and that's not a bad decision. Looks like he's got quite a few tanks contesting the hill up there from his team. And he's kind of staring into where he thinks he might see the first shot, and that was not bad. And we're going to push up here. We got a 416 JP2 and a KV5, which is a reasonable amount of beef over here to take these guys on. It looks like a Super Pershing and a low have showed up. One thing I will say about this is a little bit more about camera work there, Bonzi. When I'm driving in, I'm going to be zoomed out a little bit more so I can see more of what's going on around me, and I can kind of look at how I'm going to approach. Additionally, I'm going to go look to the side as I'm going and say, what is over there? I got a Sturv on the bridge, I got a KV5 and a Cairn up in those buildings there, and they potentially could be an issue if they come around behind me. So I'm not going to turn around and go deal with them, but I'm just going to kind of note that I have a Sturv back there who hopefully can keep them honest, but we are a little bit overloaded on this side if you take a look at what's going on. So really what we need to do is win over here so we can either flex back and deal with these or continue to push in, which is not always the best idea because it's so open right here, but really we need to win this quickly and then turn around and deal with this over here because we're just all bunched up. Also, remember there are artillery involved here. And guess what? They already are on you guys over in this little brawling area. So you've already got artillery to deal with. In fact, there's one right there, and you end up blocking the JP2. So this is a tricky situation. You just kind of drove right up into what is a kind of mature fight. I got the KV5 who has enough turret height that he can kind of poke over. I had a JP2, which is your big gun, but he's kind of unwieldy and he really needs a little bit of maneuver room right here. And then I've just driven right in front of this 416, which has a really pretty good gun, and got in his way. And so now we're going to have a bit of a scrum here trying to figure out what we're going to do. And now I'm bumping the 416. And I can see you're trying to get out of the way, but you just basically bull your way in here and cut everybody else off. And that's an amazing shot. You ended up getting it. And we're going to push up into here. So now the KV-5 is pushing in, and we're going to push out on an ISU. So you saw the ISU right there. I think the last thing I would have done is push my front out. You could try to side scrape it, but he might have pinned you anyway. But I certainly wouldn't have just gone straight out like this. And then this is interesting because what you're going to do is you're going to auto aim and then click the auto aim off and then miss. So I'd have definitely zoomed in on that guy for that shot. He'd already fired, so you might as well aim in and take a good shot on him. In fact, I don't think I can show it. You might have been able to actually get into his front sprocket and force him to burn a kit right there. So we've lost 750 hit points to that, and we're still kind of putting our front ender out there, and now we're going to fix that problem. The ISU, definitely go after him. There you go. Oh, right into the mantlet. That's a bummer. He was certainly on a reload still, but he won't be anymore. Now you've got an ISU and a Ferdinand right there, and that is a bit of a tricky situation. It is possible to side scrape and maybe just go after the super, but you take a bit of a chance, you bounce the Ferdy, and you put a nice shot into him right there. And now you're doing a pretty decent job of side scraping. So that super Pershing fired and bounced. I'd have gone right out immediately and looked for that shot. He's blocking the Ferdinand, getting in his way now, kind of like you did earlier. So make sure when you're timing those shots, go out immediately. There you go. Come right out. That way you're reloaded, and wait for him to give you a shot right there. If he wants another shot, he's got to come get it. And you actually put that in. Whoa! And that's actually interesting right there, because that is something that new players do quite a bit. Everybody is sort of spring-loaded. I shoot and I back up, right? Because I'm used to pushing in, shooting, and backing up. What you're doing is you're side scraping. You're going to back up, shoot, and go forward. So right after that shot, you started going back. Oh, crap, and you start going forward. That's just something you've got to actually give a thought to while you're doing this. And pretty good idea for you on how to do the side scrape, or you have a pretty good idea of how to deal with the side scrape mechanics in the game. But here's something to think about. So I want you to think about your situation right now. Right? All your friends are dead. You got an ISU, a super, a Ferdinand, and a low. That is going to be something very difficult to deal with. So I think you're right in just kind of hanging out here for the moment. Here comes the super, and holy cow, the low. He actually bounces and you put a shot in there. So that was good. There you go. Good angle. Force him to take some kind of angle right there. The Ferd's being very foolish, and I would definitely take this. You're going to take a hit from the other low, but so be it. And actually you bounce him again and then tuck up right here. The artillery is still shooting on you. Now, right here is where things get interesting. The ISU has left. He's not there anymore. You have a one-shot super and the low. Now, they can machine gun you down, but you've also got the attention of the artillery, and the game's kind of in the balance right now. You really need to get rid of these two guys if you can. And there goes the low backing up. So for me, this has two choices. Number one, I get aggressive and I go after this low. Looks like you're doing it initially. Here he comes. Ooh. That's pretty good. I'd have rather taken the damage and then tried to side scrape his return shot. There you go. But get that one in there. That's excellent. And now he fixes and he's back out. And maybe just a little passive right here, Bonzi. You're going to do a lot of maneuvering trying to get a shot on this guy. And there he goes. He's backing up. We do this. And now we kind of do this. And we're kind of, where is he? I don't want to get hit. Nope. Where is he? I'm going to do a little more side scraping. And, oh, he's gone. Meanwhile, the artillery knows exactly where you are because you just sort of rocked back and forth in the same spot. Just a little bit hesitant. Wham. So we lose a few more hit points right there. Now we go in, and a bit lucky right there that we're actually able to put that shot while we're stunned. And, oh, geez, now the artillery's on us again. And that low is there, and then we're going to have somebody that we really don't want showing up, show up. And there's a Lorraine, put a shot on him. He bounces one, and he's going to end up killing us. So just really hesitant right there to make a decision. You really needed to push into that low and try to get rid of him quickly. Or, I'll let this explosion go away because it's so bright on the screen. Or, once he backed up, you had another option of backing up to this hold down spot. And that's probably what I would have chosen right there. Once he backed off, and I was still facing the super. In fact, the super's died. No, he's actually been spotted here, but that was fairly recently. Once I got down to me and no friends, I might have just backed up behind this little spot right here. But what you chose was a kind of tweener. I'm just going to kind of continue to work this. And it was working for you, but the situation changed. So you either needed to get aggressive and take out that low, or better yet, I think backing up right in that situation, looking for a more defensible position, one that was not being bombed by Artie all the time, or at least made it more difficult for Artie to bomb you. And then you might have been able to hold off the Lorraine as he pulled in there. Although he was pretty much hell-bent on taking you out. That's one thing that ends up happening when you get bogged down in a spot and you get whittled down to a certain hit point within a shot or two. For autoloaders, it's maybe even 2 or 3 shots. They will look for those opportunities to come in and assassinate near-dead tanks. And if you show an affinity for just hanging out in one spot, eventually one of these dudes is going to notice you. If you become predictable like that, they're going to end up taking you out pretty easily right there. So not a bad game. You dropped quite a bit of damage. I think your side scrape mechanics are pretty solid right there. Your timing on some of your return shots could have been a little bit better. And just your decision making once the fight got really mature and it was just down to you, probably a bit of a mistake hanging in there and not either pushing, I think was the second best answer, or pulling back. All right, man, I hope this helps you. If you got any more you want me to take a look at, go ahead and send them on in. For everybody else, I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Maybe you learned something. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel. As always, we will see you.